Hello, in this video I'm going to show how to work with KUDO's repositories, including how to create your own private repository. And I'll be starting from the creation of an operator package. So, things to note, I already have Kubernetes through kind cluster created and initialized, and I'm ready to go. Let me just say, relative to the KUDO project, I have operators in this location, so I'm going to work with the zookeeper operator. Another thing to note would be that I have a folder set aside for operators or for my own private repo, but there's nothing in there yet. So let's use KUDO to package this zookeeper operator. So we say KUDO package, we specify the location of the zookeeper operator, and I'm giving the destination of this repo that I have, and it's created. Some things to note, the operator.yaml and the params.yaml were verified that they were the proper format, and then the naming conventions were applied when we created this package. If I needed to override this in any way, if I did it again, it would fail, and the failure would indicate that that already exists. It is possible to say I want to overwrite that and create another one. Now that we have an operator in a folder, we can actually use KUDO to create the index file. The index file is needed by the repository to do the lookups. And that's nothing more than KUDO repo index and the folder that we have. And now we can see that the index file was created for us. If I output that, you'll see that I have one operator that was created. Also notice that the default URL was localhost. I could have specified that I wanted a different URL. Okay, now that we have a repository set up, this other location here I have set aside in my repo to actually spin up Python as an HTTP server. Next thing that we need to do is do a listing of our repositories. Why don't we go ahead and remove local at this point and list again. We'll see that we only have the community. And now let's add. So I have a repository that is local, and I'm going to call it local. It's at http://localhost. And you can see that it was added. But what's important about that is notice that the index file was queried from localhost. What that means is that in order for a repository to be added, it has to be a valid location, and the index file must exist there. If you want to be able to add one, let's say we added a local 2, and I want to skip that, I could say skip check, in which case now I have 3. All right, now that we have a repository added, we could actually set the context to it. One thing I haven't probably called out is when we do the list, you can see a star here on community. What that means is that any operation that I do without specifying anything will go to the community. But I could also reset that. I could say that the context is local. And so now all operations will be done against local unless otherwise specified. Why don't we do one more thing, and that is set the context back to community, and let's do an install. Oops. And in this case, the default is community, but I'm installing, and I'm saying install, and I'm temporarily, for this operation, saying I want to install from local, which does a lookup on what the URL is for local, and then does all operations against that repository only. You can see I did an install from our local repository. And there's one last thing to show off here, and that is it is possible that you want to prepare to merge with a repository that's already out there. So we have the ability to create the index as we've already seen here, but in the process of creating the index, we want to merge with an existing one. And the easiest, you could say merge and specify a whole URL, or you could say merge repo, and I want to merge with the community repo. And of course, I want to overwrite that. So looking at cat indicates that all of the information at the server repo was taken. Notice that these URLs are from that repo. Notice that the one that I had here for Zookeeper that was local actually has a different URL. So now I'm working with a local repository that has references to operators that are in a different repository. And that's all I had to show you. Thanks for listening.